Welcome to Simple Oracle DB. In this video we will be creating Oracle sequences. Sequences are like functions that are unique number counters, most often used for primary and foreign keys on Oracle tables. You can use it for more things, but the only thing I really use them for is the primary and foreign keys of tables. Again, they are counters, they won't duplicate, and that makes it nice for setting a primary key on a table, especially for like an ID, a number field. The two types of sequence functions we'll be going over is the next value and the current value. Let's move over to Oracle SQL Developer. Here we have our create sequence statement. I'm going to name it car ID S, and I'm going to start my value out at 1, and my max value is going to be this number. This is the default number if you don't set a max value. I'm going to start it with 1, and I'm going to increment by 1. And in this last statement, you can either set it to no cache or cache and a number. I have it here as 20 commented out, but it'll bring up 20 numbers and it'll store them in the short memory, so it goes quicker when you call the sequence. If you're going to repeatedly call it over and over and over and over again, I would use the cache setting here. But if you're not going to use it as much and you're not worried about so much time, I would use the no cache here. And I'm going to create a table here with a car ID, car name, and creation date. So let me go ahead and create these. There, I created my sequence. Next, I'm going to create my table. And now I got my card types table created. I'm going to flip over here with my insert statement. And I got two types of inserts. One is going to call my car ID sequence the next value, so whatever next in line is, and then that's going to insert in the table as my car ID. And then my second example here is the current value. This is just going to get whatever was called last, and it's going to set the car ID to that. So I'm just going to show you two examples of this. I'm going to insert this once, twice, 3 times. Now we're going to come over here and check the results. I'm going to select this, and here we have the car ID 1, 2, 3. So it's counting up by 1, how we set our sequence over here. So we started with 1 and we incremented it by 1. Next we're going to do the current value, which it'll bring in what was last called, which over here was 3. So we're going to insert this 3 times. There's 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. We're going to check over here. Okay, and then in my next 3 records here, it's just showing 3 because that was the last number that we called up. So I'm just showing you an example of these two types of calls, the next value and the current value here. The next sample I'm going to show you is how you can set the sequence as a default for a table. So we're going to create this sequence, car ID 2S. This one we're just going to start it with 10 and we're going to increment it by 10 just to show you a different example of this. So we're going to create the sequence. We're going to create this table as a default in here, and our default is going to be the next value. So basically every time we insert, it's going to get the next value of the sequence. So we're going to create our table. So we got that created, and then we're going to call our insert here. We're going to call it, let's just call it like 3 times here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's go check these results out and see what we got. So here we got 10, 20, 30, and we're calling the Dodge, the car name, and the creation date. And you can see here, and I didn't point this out before, but I didn't even set the car ID in here in the insert. It just uses the defaults, and since we didn't send the car ID in, it defaulted to the sequence next value. So that's a kind of a nice feature. I mean, this came along in some of the newer versions of Oracle database, and it's nice to have. You don't have to call it within your insert statements anymore. It gave you this feature to default it. So in short, I showed you how to create a sequence. I showed you the how to set it as a default, and I show you the ways that you can use the next value and the current value and ways you can use that. This concludes our video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the video. I will post this code in the description below the video so you can copy and paste it and work with it yourself. And remember to stay hungry and keep learning.